be screwed, feel my own adrenaline. Yeah, I do just what I do, and I hope you let me in, yeah.
Hello and welcome back, fellow anime lovers, to Cypherfics. I am delighted to have you join us once again in the world of fanfiction and fantasy. This is the fourth part of What If Ichigo Joins Pokemon? Special note, this fanfic is written in a masterpiece of Strange and Kind 634 of them on fanfiction.net. Do check and support the author too. Now smash the like, share and subscribe button for more. Also press the bell icon so that you never miss such great parts. Thanks for the introduction. Now let's dive into the world. So after a few minutes, the group of 2 boys and 3 girls were kneeling down on their knees with big red bumps on their head. Now said it again, Ichigo ordered them with Cynthia, who had gotten out of the ropes with Ryalu's help, standing beside him looking at the scene with a slight amused face, not really angry at what had happened to her. Besides their leader of the group, they yell, "We're sorry, please forgive us." Good. Ichigo then turns to the one who didn't say, "What about you?" She just turned her head. "Just say it, and we'll let you go," Ichigo says to the girl. "Why should I say sorry to her? I rather get stuck here." Cynthia look at her face to face. "What did I ever do to you?" "You don't know?" Her mother also too got trapped in the expedition last year and didn't came back, one of the girls tells her. Cynthia had a shocked look when she heard it. "I'm sorry for what happened, but that doesn't explain why you have been acting more harshly than when we were kids." The girl then looked up to Cynthia. "You really want to know? Okay, I'll tell you. While your parents will remember as they bravely helped the others escape the cave, but no one even remember my mom, who also had help in the evacuation." Tears began to form in the girl's eyes. Cynthia tries to say something, but Ichigo beat her to it. "No, your mother wasn't forgotten," Ichigo tells her with no lies in his voice. "Liar, stop lying," she yells at him. Ichigo then continue, "The people may have forgotten your mother, but Cynthia's family didn't." Huh? All of them were confused at what he said. Ichigo then pull out something from his pocket. When they clearly look and see that it was an old-looking letter, this is a letter for Cynthia. Hidden inside an incubator, Cynthia's had a surprised look on her face. "So what's your point?" the girl asked, getting irritated. "And what does it have to do with anything we are saying?" "Cody Simpson, not just you." Ichigo then opened the letter. To Cynthia. "Hi honey, I decided to put another letter hidden inside the incubator as your father had written the last one a bit too unsatisfying for my taste. Anyway, how have you been honey? I'm sorry we couldn't be there for you when you needed us the most. Please forgive us. So do you like your gift? We couldn't decide what to give you, so I asked my friend Jeanette Brooke, who is also working in the project, for some advice. She's really nice. You know, she has a daughter around your age. I think her name is Jenny Brooke. You should make friends with her, which will good for you. And honey, you don't have to be really strong and be the best like how your father mentioned. You just have to be yourself. That's all we ever wanted. Happy birthday to you, honey. Love, Celestia Sharna. P.S. Even if we're not around, know that we love and always be proud of you." After Ichigo had read finished the letter, tears started falling down Cynthia's eyes. She then fall on her knees, feeling a sense of relief inside of her after hearing the letter from her mother. And the girl now named Jenny Brooke looked confused. If she's supposed to be happy that someone had remembered her mother and call her a friend, or should she still be angry? Then she felt a hand on her face wiping the tears falling. "I'm really sorry, I was too stupid to understand what you were feeling." Cynthia kneeled down beside her. Jenny slowly felt all her anger fading away inside of her. Charmander and Ryalu just look at the scene with a smile. Ichigo then continue, "Hope you can forgive them for not remembering." Cynthia too was also suffering so much that she couldn't focus anything other than battling. Jenny then turned to Cynthia. "I'm sorry Cynthia, I was really angry and jealous at you. Cynthia, just stop her. It's okay, it's all in the past now." Cynthia pulled her up and hugged her. Jenny stood stunned and kept muttering sorry. Ichigo smiled at the two. "See, you two can finally become friends." Jenny and Cynthia looked at the now smiling orange hair boy, which they found quite appealing to them, and blushed a bit. "Thank you." Jenny bowed to him, which Ichigo just scratched his head, not really knowing to do. Cynthia looked at Ichigo and a slight warmth formed inside her. What is this feeling, she thought. Ichigo then turned to Cynthia with a big grin. Maybe it's just my imagination, she smiled back at him. The others beside the three were relieved that it's finally over. Okay, let's get out of this forest. I'm really tired from all the walking. Ichigo walked back towards town with Charmander following him. Then Cynthia and Jenny look at each other before giggling. Achoo, you two girls better not be talking about me, Ichigo yelled from afar. The others also follow, and after reaching the town they finally went their separate ways. Ichigo and Cynthia were walking on their way back to her house with their Pokemon not far behind. Ichigo? Thank you. I didn't do much. You're being too modest. It's because of you my enemy became my friend, and also because of you I can finally live without disappointing my parents, she tells him with a heartwarming tone. Ichigo turns to her, and he couldn't really say anything, so he just patted her head, which Cynthia feels a very strange feeling, but a good strange feeling at his strange antic. Quickly pulling back and composing herself, Cynthia put a palm on her cheek. Ichigo just looked confused and walked forward with Charmander climbing on his back before hanging on his shoulder. Riolu also walked to Cynthia and holds her hand. Tilda music slowly stops. Tilda. After the two finally reached back to her house, it was already afternoon, and on entering, Ichigo and Cynthia immediately finds the two elderly professors drinking tea. Oh Ichigo, you found her, but you sure did took your time, Professor Oak says to the scowling orange hair boy. Carolina walked up to her granddaughter. Dear, how are you feeling? Cynthia gives a big bright smile. Tired, but I feel like a big weight is being lifted from me, grandmother. Carolina eyes widen. She hasn't seen that beautiful smile for such a long time before she too smile. Dear, I'm really happy for you, pulling her into a hug. Carolina turned to Ichigo, who is being scolded by Professor Oak. Ichigo, whatever you did, you have my deepest appreciation, she thought. After a while they prepared dinner with Cynthia, Ichigo and Carolina preparing it. They really were having a pleasant dinner, with Cynthia being teased to death by her grandmother, who kept teasing her about Ichigo, which the orange hair boy didn't understand what they were saying. Charmander and Riolu were having a competition of who would finish first, which Charmander stuffing food in his mouth, and Riolu quickly eating with some manners. After they finished dinner, Ichigo and Cynthia then start washing the dishes, of course with the help of their Pokemon. When they finished, the professors called them into the living room. You call for us? Ichigo walk in with Cynthia. Yes, Ichigo, we want to tell you two something important. These confused Cynthia and Ichigo. Carolina turned to her granddaughter. Dear, do you remember Alamo's town? Cynthia nodded. Yes, I asked you before that I want to visit the tower there, but you said no. Why? Well, Cynthia, your grandmother have something to be delivered there, so we're sending you too. Ichigo did not like it one bit, and Cynthia looks thrilled to go. No. Those words were the only thing that came out of his mouth. The two professors looked at the boy and asked, why? Ichigo scowled deepen. I have been moving around too much, acting like a delivery boy, which I am not, so no. I'm too tired. Professor Oak tried to persuade him in his answer, but Carolina beat him to it. It's okay if you don't want to go, young man. Ichigo finally felt relief. Thank you. But Ichigo got annoyed again. My granddaughter could go on her own into the big bad world. Unprotected with no one to protect her, she might even get hurt because a certain boy didn't want to go. Fake tears coming out her eyes. Ichigo was going to say no again, but when he turned to Cynthia, who just looked down, it's okay Ichigo, I'll be fine, she gives a small smile. Aye, but... Fine, I'll go, so stop it. Ichigo rub his nose. Cynthia beam up. Excellent. Now you two get to bed, you'll need to wake up early for it. She pushed them up to the stairs. Inside one of the guest room. Ichigo lay down on the bed inside one of the guest room with Charmander on the foot of the bed already sleeping, hugging his red scarf. Hollow, why are my memories returning so slow? I don't know, King, Hollow says in a low tone. Ichigo stays silent. Don't worry, you'll get them back, so stop frowning and get ready for another training, and this time I'm gonna help our little black friend Hollow finish and fade away. Ichigo stays silent, and slowly he fell into sleep. After a while the door to the room slowly came open. A feminine figure slowly and quietly walked towards the bed. Ichigo is sleeping. Charmander woke up feeling a presence inside the room. He and Ichigo are sleeping, so opening his eyes, he see a familiar face, Char. The figure saw the fire type, woke up. Shush. The person put her finger on her lips, and Charmander just watched the person. The person then kneeled down beside Ichigo's head. Ichigo, "Thank you for coming into my life," in a soft tone before giving a quick peck on the side of his face. The person then stood back up and looked towards Charmander. "Let's keep this as a secret, okay?" she whispered to the fire type, who acknowledged her by pulling up his paw and went back to sleep. Walking out of the room, Cynthia turned back and looked at Ichigo. "Sweet dreams," she says before going back to her own room. Ichigo's mindscape. In his mindscape, Ichigo is having anything other than a sweet dream. Hollow jump from above, throwing down spheres of aura at Ichigo, who is trying to dodge them. "Stop dodging them and start deflecting them." "Like hell," Ichigo shouts before one of the sphere blasts him off, throwing him away. Hollow came down above Ichigo with a drop kick, which Ichigo blocked it, crossing his arms upward. "You won't get strong if you hesitate." The two keep going until a stream of black flames fire at Hollow direction, which he jumped back, avoiding it. Ichigo then look at the familiar flames and look where it came from. Charmander. The little black Pokemon ran to his trainer's side fast. "Char." Ichigo then looked towards Hollow. "What did you do?" Hollow then came forward to them. "Okay, King, I'm going to explain, so listen up." Morning in the Shirna residence. Professor Oak is sitting in the kitchen with a newspaper in hand and a cup of coffee by his side. "Samuel, where is Ichigo?" "It's almost time for them to go," Carolina asked her fellow professor, while she herself is drinking tea with Cynthia by her side eating breakfast. "Dear, could you go wake him up?" before Cynthia could respond. "Ugh, my head." A mop of very messy orange hair came in with his Pokemon following, who doesn't seem to be in a good mood either. "Chair." "Ichigo, were you up all night?" Professor Oak looked at the red eye of Ichigo, who just sit beside him. "I wish," was his only response. "You should get ready, Ichigo," came the voice of Cynthia with a hint of amusement. Ichigo turned to her and see that she is looking at him with an amused smile. When did she get so friendly? "Beats me, but seriously, you're complaining too much about your training, so buck up." Ichigo ignored him. Yeah, I'll go prepare." Ichigo stood up and went back upstairs to get ready while mumbling about stupid crazy training cutting his sleep. After all of them got prepared, they stood in front of a bus stand. Ichigo stood with a large bag on his back carrying the item they were supposed to deliver, wearing a gray pain shirt and black trousers with black logo color slip-on shoes. Besides him is Charmander wearing his red scarf and carrying the incubator, which he seems to really like taking care of it. Cynthia also stood by his side carrying a small strap-on bag. She is wearing another summer white dress, leggings under her dress and slippers on with her hair falling down on her dress. Riolu is inside his Pokeball. "Now you two try to be careful, okay?" The two nodded. "Ichigo, I got a call from Ash and the others that you should call them sometimes." Ichigo again nod. "And you'll need a Pokedex for the trip, and since I haven't give it to you, here's one." Professor Oak pull out a Pokedex and give to Ichigo. "And Cynthia, you may be able to hide it from others, but not from me," Carolina says while gesturing to Ichigo. Embarrassed Cynthia just turns her head. "Don't make things up, grandmother." Carolina grin at her reaction. After the two got into the bus and say their goodbyes, the two teens slowly relaxed down on their sit and signed happily. Charmander sit on one of the sit with the incubator by his side. "Ichigo? Could I take care of the Pokemon egg again?" "Why the change of heart?" "Well," Ichigo still close his eyes, "I have no problem with it. Besides, it's still a present your parents left for you, but you have to ask Charmander. Looks like he's quite attached to it." Cynthia turned to Charmander, who is talking to the egg happily. "Maybe later, he seems to enjoying too much," she said, then changed to another subject and started a conversation with Ichigo before the two fell asleep on their sits, as their destination is 4 hours away. When they finally reach Alamo's town, Ichigo and Cynthia with Charmander stood in front of the long bridge made out of stones. From a few miles away, a shadow figure is watching them. "Okay, let's go. This thing is annoying to carry," Ichigo said, walking towards the bridges. But Cynthia collides his shoulder a bit with hers. "Ichigo, let's take it slow and enjoy looking around. So stop being in a rush," she chided him. "Fine. Man, your whip." "I don't need more headache, so shut up," mentally answer back. While walking, Ichigo sees a huge tower that looks like it is in the middle of the town. "What is that?" Ichigo pointed at the large tower. Cynthia looked up at where he is pointing. "Well, that would be the Space and Time Tower. And that's my main reason for coming here." Cynthia has stars in her eyes looking at the tower. Ichigo looked towards the shadow of a streetlight with Charmander doing the same. Cynthia then pulled Ichigo's hands. Let's go. Ichigo got pulled by her with having a dumb look and Charmander quickly following them holding the incubator. But suddenly they froze. What is happening? Cynthia can't move her body with Ichigo and Charmander being the same. They slowly float with bluish color envelop around them. Wah! Ichigo couldn't finish his sentence as they suddenly vanish in the blink of an eye. In an unknown area, a large dark blue like sauropod figure stood with its various blue stripes glow a few seconds before it stopped. I have done what you asked, my lord. A large figure looked at the same large stone tablet where it shows Ichigo and the others enveloped with bluish like aura before vanishing. Well done. Thank you for your assistance, you may return. It nodded and flew out of the place. The large figure just looks at the stone tablet. Good luck. We find 3 kids lying around on the fields of Professor Oak's ranch. Ugh! The black-haired boy of the 3 groaned out loud. What is up with you, Ash? A brown-haired girl beside him asked while reading a book she is holding. Yeah, Ashy boy, it's annoying. Another boy with brown hair turns his attention to his hyperactive friend. I'm really bored. The other 2 just sigh. I just wish he'd come back soon. Ash looks down on his knees. Gary and Leaf also have the same thought. Remember the time when he trained us? He says to the 2 who flinch at that particular moment. Gary rubs his shoulder. Who wouldn't? I can still feel the pain. Leaf just breathes out relief that she didn't join the 2. Thank goodness, she thought. I know, but I really had fun whenever he's around. Going on adventure around Pallet Town, get chased by wild Pokemon. Well, it was still awesome, you know. Ash reminisce on those moments. The other 2 too just smile remembering it. And when I become a trainer, I gonna train hard with my Pokemon too and beat him. Ash pumps his small fist in the air. Really, Ashy boy? It seems like a dream to me. Just wait and you'll see, Ash argued back. Yeah, watch you lose, Gary slyly says back with a grin. Ash gets annoyed and jump on Gary, and the 2 again start their daily brawl with Ash on the ground and Gary on top pinning him down. Boys, Leaf stares at the 2 before looking up the sky. Even Teddiursa and me are missing you, she thought while holding on to the bear cub Pokemon. After the 2 finished, they all sat again together again on the grass. I bet he's really having fun right about now, Ash says, which the other 2 agreed. Back in Alamos Town. A beautiful day in Alamos Town with different flying Pokemon and a group of Staravia in the sky with a Starly following the flock. But looking down closely to a street light, the shadow it produces is moving on its own before a being-like figure slowly comes out of it and look up to the sky with its teal eyes. At the way it is looking a portal with bluish color form until 3 figures appear floating in the sky before falling down fast. Huh? Is the only thought Cynthia, Ichigo and Charmander have before falling down from the sky. Chair. While the 3 fall, Ichigo grab on something while falling, which is try to struggle from his grip, but it somehow slowed down his landing before he was about to hit the land. Luckily, Ichigo landed on top of a large pile of hay with whatever he had grabbed on. Seeing that he is safe, he breathed out relief. Huh, where are the others? He then hears screaming from above. Before he could move, something crash on his back from above. Crack, he felt his bone crack, and another weight too came which only deepened the pain. Oh! From Alamos, people walking could hear the loud noise and turn to its direction before they go on with whatever they were doing. Cynthia rubs her sore head dizzy from falling. Oh my back, what just happened? She thought and looked down to see Charmander, which had fallen down too and landed on her lap with swirls in his eyes. She then thought, where's Ichigo? Looking around, she couldn't find him. She called out to him. Ichigo. Where could he be? She then felt movement beneath her and looked down to see her orange hair friend with swirls in his eyes before she suddenly jumped up surprised with Charmander falling down on the hay too with his trainer both knockout after the whole situation. Mew! Cynthia turned around to see a Tauros feeding on the hay they were sitting on and turned back to see Ichigo had somehow woke up sitting with his legs crossed rubbing his back. Oh. Ichigo, are you okay? She asked, feeling guilty for landing on him. Ichigo still holding his back. Yeah, I'm fine. You? She nodded and says, thanks to you. Ichigo too felt movement beneath him and something flew out from the hay below, which surprised him. A Pokemon-like bird came out looking at Ichigo with a mean-looking gaze. Star. The flying type suddenly formed sand on its wings and threw it at Ichigo's open mouth and fly away. Blah. Was that really necessary? Blah, Ichigo yells at it while trying to get rid of the sands in his mouth. Hee hee, I believe it used sand attack, Cynthia giggle a bit from the funny scene. King something is feeling off about this place. What do you mean? Ichigo cleaned his mouth. I don't know, but it feels strange and familiar at where you're supposed to go. Alamos Town, Ichigo says. Yeah. Ichigo stops spacing around. We need to go. I don't know what happened, but we need to go Alamos Town first, and we'll figure out what had happened. Cynthia jumped down from the hay. Ichigo still thinking about what Hollow said while following Cynthia, Charmander not far behind with the incubator. Cynthia too felt weird about the path to Alamos Town. It's familiar, but there is no sign around telling the way to the town. She suddenly stops and turns to Ichigo. Ichigo? What is it? Ichigo looks at her. I know I said earlier that we'll figure out what had happened later, but understanding her confusion, I know something is off. Let's head to the town first like you said, okay, he says to her, and Cynthia hum in response. Charmander is too busy cleaning the incubator to hear what they were saying. After the three arrive at Alamos Town, Cynthia and Ichigo eyes widen a bit with a surprise and shock expression. Wasn't there a tower there? Ichigo shakenly pointed his finger at where the tower is supposed to be. Yeah, Cynthia answers him. And why are people wearing clothes that you would see in old movies? He asks again while he and Cynthia look around at the people's attire. When they snap out of their shock faces, the two turned to each and started discussing things. What is happening? Maybe it has something to do with us falling from the sky. Ichigo then tried to ask Hollow. Don't ask me, I don't know shit. Ichigo turned to Cynthia and finds her talking to a lady who is wearing a brown color strange dress, which he finds it very weird. She then quickly walks to him. Ichigo, Ichigo. She says his name a little bit too loud while having a shock face. Ichigo stopping her by putting his palm in front of her face. Calm down and tell me what happened. I know this may sound crazy, but we're not supposed to be here. She grips her hands tied. What? Cynthia then takes a deep breath, slowly calming down. I mean that we might have somehow time travel, but I can't really explain how. Ichigo wanted to tell her that she is wrong, but he had a feeling that she is telling the truth. Charmander just looks at the two confused of what is happening. He then asks an elderly man with old-looking spectacles, white beard and hair, who is walking towards the town, sir? Yes, the man reply. Where is the two huge towers that is supposed to be there? Ichigo then pointed again towards the town. The man then looked confused at his question. I'm sorry, young man, but there isn't any tower you mentioned there. It's always been like that. Then, is that Alamos Town? Ichigo pointed again to the town. Yes. Ichigo then starts to believe that they had really somehow time travel. Sorry for the inconvenience, Ichigo bows at the man. The man just nods his head. It's quite all right. The man looked curiously at Ichigo before he went on his way. Ichigo then calls his friend. Cynthia, you heard that right? He got no response. Cynthia? Cynthia? He turns to see a shock and horrified look on her face. Cynthia, you okay? She still didn't respond. Cynthia then puts her hands on her head, hyperventilating a bit. All right? Ha ha ha, she nervously laughs. Suddenly grabbing on his shirt, how can I be all right? We're stuck in a time zone that we don't belong to with no way of going back. How can I be all right? She yells out her frustration. Luckily, they were the only two in the area. Ichigo tries to push her back, angry at what she is doing, but he suddenly stops, looking at her, understanding that she is still young. Even if she is a smart girl, it doesn't mean she haven't got any uncontrollable emotions to deal with. Charmander tried to stop her, but Ichigo just raised his arms, stopping him. Char. I'm getting too old for this, Ichigo thought. Got that right. Ichigo then quickly grabbed Cynthia and chop on her neck, knocking her out from her breakdown. Sorry, Cynthia, but you need to sleep it off. She slowly closed her eyes and Ichigo holds her before she could hit the ground. He then put her on his back, carrying her. Now what am I gonna do? He looks down at Charmander, who is looking back. Just follow your instinct, you idiot. And how is that gonna help me? Don't know. but it has helped me survive this long. Well, my instinct stinks right now. Ichigo sighed, not really knowing what to do, but he then quickly sidestepped a large and long tongue. Ichigo then turned to where it came from. Who's there? A figure suddenly jumps out of the bushes, and beside the figure stood a Pokemon-like large round body with a long tongue besides him. It is I, Baron Vincent, the future heir of the House of Baron, and my Pokemon Lickitung. He posed in different position with an arrogant smile, and he is wearing a red puffy shirt with a white shorts. That was so lame. Charmander just dumbly looked at the weird boy Char. Ichigo just stared down at the boy, who only seems to be 9 years old. What do you want? Ichigo asks the boy in an annoyed tone. You, pointing at him. Ichigo got confused. Me? Yes. Why? You have harmed that beautiful maiden and carrying her like an ape. As such, it is my duty to save her from a brute like you, he says with his hands gripping tied, so get ready to face justice. Drama queen you, Hollow dryly says in his head. Are you picking a fight? A tick mark appears on Ichigo's head. Ichigo then walked up to him, slowing angry at being accused of such things, and Vincent too got ready to order his Pokemon, but before anything could happen, wait, came a young feminine voice. The two turned their heads toward where it came from and saw a girl with blonde hair wearing what seemed to brown dress with a white apron. She seems to be the same age as the boy. Stop it, you two. She finally reached them, and taking a deep breath, Vincent turns to her. Alicia, my angel, do not defend such a devious-looking brute. Another tick marked appear on Ichigo's head. Why I oughta Ichigo tried to grab him age, but the girl stood in front of him. She shucks her head. Ichigo looks at the girl a few minutes and just scratch his head. Fine. Are girls your weakness? Or are you just a wussy? King. Shut up, Ichigo answer back in his mind. The girl now named Alicia smile. Thank you. Come on, Charmander, we need to find a place to stay. He calls his Pokemon while carrying Cynthia. Before he could walk, a small hand grabs his hands, stopping him. Ichigo turns. Huh? What now? He asks the girl. How dare you talk to Alicia in such a way? Vincent says while grinding his teeth. The two ignores him. My name is Alicia. What's yours? She asks, and her eyes keep looking back at Cynthia and him. Seeing where she is peeking, Ichigo understand Ichigo. And don't worry, I'm not that kind of person. She's my friend, and she got dizzy. Alicia then claps her hand together. Oh, thank goodness. I thought I had a bad feeling. Ichigo's sweat drop. Am I really that scary? Ichigo thought. Haven't you looked in the mirror, Kingy? Hollow mocked him. Stop ignoring me, the frustrated boy yells. The two look back at him before continuing their conversation. Is this how it feels to be alone? Even sweet Alicia doesn't want to speak to me. At least you're here, Lickitung. Huh? Lickitung? Vincent turns to see his Pokemon talking to Charmander. So cold, he just say before he got slapped on the head. Stop spacing out, brat, Ichigo says, and Alicia, who is looking curiously at the Charmander, and touch his red scarf a bit, which Charmander just pull it back. Ichigo look at the two. It's something special to him, so he's a bit edgy at it. Alicia then looks back down. Sorry, Charmander just walk up to the girl and put his claw on her knees, indicating that it's all right. She then got back up and turns to Ichigo. You say that you were looking for a place to stay, right? Ichigo nodded. I know a place where you and friend could stay for a while. Really? Yeah. Baron Vincent did not like where this was going. What are you doing, Alicia? He is just a stranger, and I do not allow it. Alicia then looks at the boy. Allow? Who says you have authorities over me? She sweetly smiles at him, which he sweats a bit. But we are, oh, he cry, feeling a pain in his foot. Alicia then pulls Ichigo with Charmander following. Come on, I'll show you where you can stay, she says happily. Ichigo then thought, today has been a really weird day. Charmander runs to them while carrying the incubator. Vincent tries to follow but fell down on his knees. Niu, he cry out loud. After the three with Ichigo carrying Cynthia run into the town, they stop in front of a garden, or a Pokemon garden to be more specific. Okay, my house is beside the Pokemon garden here. Pokemon garden? He asks. She nodded. It's a place where many Pokemons live and play. Let's just say it's a home for all kinds of Pokemon. Charmander look at the garden with sparkles in his eyes. Pulling his trainer's leg. What is it, Charmander? Ichigo asked the black fire-type Pokemon. Char, he pointed at the other Pokemon in the garden. Okay, you go and have fun, but careful with the egg, Charmander cried happily and run towards the other Pokemon who happily welcome. Ichigo smiled at Charmander having fun. How were you able to understand what it said? Alicia asks curiously. Ichigo looked down at her. I don't know how, I just know. Alicia pouted, not satisfied with his answer. Alicia? Yeah? Why are you helping me? A stranger no less, Ichigo asks while walking to her house, which is not far from the garden. I don't really have a reason, I just do. Maybe it runs in the family, she answered innocently. Besides, you're not like the other people who are scared of making one of the Baron family angry, she finished. You mean that kid with the weird red hair? She just giggles at his statement. Yeah. When the two arrive at the front door of her house, which seemed to be a big cottage with a homey feeling to it, wow, you have a beautiful home, not that luxurious but just right, he complimented. Why thank you, young man, a woman's voice came from behind. The two kids turned quickly at see a woman oddly resembling Alicia. Mom? Oh, Alicia, you're home early, and is this your new friend? She examines Ichigo from head to toe. Nice to meet you. My name is Ichigo Polity Bow at the women who smile at him. It's nice to meet you too. Then suddenly a huge man came out from the house. Alicia, what is the meaning of these? You bringing boys at home now? At your age, you shouldn't even be thinking about such things, he yells with tears coming out of his eyes. The other three just sweat drop at him. Honey, stop it, he's just her friend. The man ignores her and walks closely to Ichigo and asks, How old are you, young man? Ichigo felt annoyed at the huge man coming close to him. Ichigo just turned his head sideways. 11 years old, sir. That surprises the family of three. Really, Ichigo? Alicia asked. Yeah, why do you ask? Ichigo then turns to them. You look older than you say. Ahaha. It seems you are destined to be a strong man one day. The man loudly says while slapping Ichigo in the head, who stumble a bit. Oh. Alicia mom then pointed out, and who would that be? She points at Cynthia. After Ichigo explains to them about his predicament, I see, the man put his hands on his chin. Alicia mom then put a hand on his cheek. Don't worry, you and your friend can stay here as long as you want. She smiles happily at him. But the man put on a tough look. But you have to do some work too. There is nothing free in the world. Ichigo didn't flinch or get scared. Yes, sir, and thank you so much for your kind hospitality. Alicia pulled his dad legs. Dad, you don't have to be mean. Her dad's personality turns around at her. Alicia, this is man stuff, you don't have to be worried, he says to his daughter who just pouted, folding her arms. I'll say it again, you attract a lot of weirdos. Ichigo ignored him and turned to the others. After they all got into the house and leads Ichigo into one of the empty rooms. This will be where you'll stay with your friend, the man says before he left the room. Ichigo carefully placed Cynthia on the bed inside the room and looked at her. You're really a nice person, Ichigo. Alicia came in the room. Ichigo looked down at Cynthia. Thanks. I would do anything to keep my friend safe. Alicia smiled at the orange hair boy. Ugh, gee, Cynthia slowly woke up and sits up with Ichigo's help. Cynthia, are you okay? Ichigo. Then suddenly remembering what had happened, she looks down sad. It really did happen, didn't it? Ichigo nodded. I'm sorry for how I acted, she apologized. Ichigo just waved it off. It's okay. Raising her head a bit, a small smile formed on her lips. Even if I can't go back, I still have a friend close by, she thought while looking at Ichigo. But her thoughts went back to her grandmother and tears begin to fall down. Seeing the tears, Ichigo flickers her on the forehead, snapping her from her mood. Oh, she holds her forehead, feeling the slight pain. Why did you do that? She glares at him. Ichigo looks at her. You give up too easily. Cynthia had a dumb look. Huh? You heard what I say. Cynthia looks at him and say, how would you know? Ichigo felt another headache. Didn't you give up trying to beat me in a Pokemon battle after one defeat? Aye. Cynthia couldn't say anything. Just like then, you're giving up now. Cynthia faces down again. Ichigo looked at her and turned his head at the ceiling. Abandon your fear, look forward, move forward, and never stop. You'll age if you pull back, you'll die if you hesitate. Cynthia and Alicia faces form a bewildered look after he said that, not really understanding it. Ichigo then rubbed his head. What I mean is don't give up. We'll find a way back home, I promise. Cynthia would never believe it if someone told her that, but Ichigo is different, so she couldn't help but believe in him. Alicia looked at the two with a small smile. You two seem to be really close. Cynthia then finally noticed another person was there and quickly turns to her. Oh sorry, how rude of me for ignoring you. Alicia reply, it's fine. Ichigo told me what happened. You must be really tired to fell unconscious. Cynthia then turned to Ichigo, who turned away and quickly understand that he had to made it up, as they can say they were from the future. Thank you for letting us stay. My name is Cynthia, she tells her. Alicia shakes her hand. Mine's Alicia. And suddenly the door to the room got and a Chansey came in. Chansey Chank. Knowing what it is saying, Alicia got up. Come on you two, dinner's ready. The day turns into night, with the family having dinner with their two guests after Cynthia introduced herself to them. Ichigo, while eating, felt that he forgot something before he suddenly got up and runs outside the house. Damn it! Charmander, I totally forgot about him. Inside the Pokemon garden, we find our black lizard friend walking around trying to find Ichigo and the others. Char. After walking a bit and asking the other Pokemon if they had seen the humans he had been with, but no results so far. Charmander looked down at the egg. Char, it shakes a bit. He then stood on one of the cliff inside the garden. A large garden, isn't it? He got tired and shouted out loud, Char, wondering if Ichigo could hear him. His claw slipped and dropped the incubator before it rolled down from the cliff. With a horrified face, Charmander chased after trying to gain speed with using quick attack trying to grab on the incubator. It then hits a rock and flew upward. Charmander jumped high and finally catch the incubator in mid-air. Chair. He felt relief but forget that no one is there to catch him. Hugging on to the incubator and bracing for impact. Charmander didn't feel any pain but felt something holding him and the incubator. He looked up to see a Pokemon with a single blue teal eye looking at him. The dark being puts him down on the ground. Are you okay? It spoke like a human but in gruffly tone. Charmander then check himself and check the egg before he looks up to the Pokemon and pulls his arm high. Chair, saying he is okay. So this is where you are, Charmander, and the dark Pokemon turns to see Ichigo stood behind the fire type. Char, pointing his claws at him. Sorry, okay, I forgot. Char. I know I can be forgetful sometimes, so please forgive me. After a few minutes, Charmander accepted his apology with a nod. Ichigo sighed before he looks towards the dark Pokemon besides Charmander. Who is this Charmander? Your new friend? Ichigo asked. Charmander. Oh, I see. Before Ichigo walks toward the dark Pokemon, who looks at Ichigo with a surprised look. He pulls up his hand and says, Thank you for helping my friend. The dark Pokemon was shocked that Ichigo was able to appear without it noticing him or feeling his presence and look at Ichigo's hand before he slowly grab his hand and then shake it. The dark Pokemon felt a strange and familiar feeling to its own coming from the human and it quickly pulled back its arm. The dark Pokemon just look at them for a few seconds before he sinks into the ground, specifically the shadow, and disappear. Charmander look at the way it disappeared. Guess he isn't really the social type. Come on, let's go back. Charmander follows him from behind back to Alicia house. From a distance, the dark being look at Ichigo and Charmander with the moon shining bright, the same pain. After the two arrive back and again introducing Charmander to the family, they went to bed with Ichigo sleeping with Charmander in the guest room and Cynthia sleeping with Alicia in her room, which was just beside the room Ichigo is sleeping. Heh, really? No, not like that. Hey. The girls were making noises and kept talking for an hour even after everybody went to bed, and kept on and on making girly noises until go to sleep. Ichigo shouted from the other side with red eyes, not being able to sleep from their ongoing noises. After a few seconds there was silence, but they didn't stop. Ichigo just sighed and put 2 pillows on both his ears. After a while he was able to sleep. Dream Ichigo's. Ichigo woke up to his mindscape. Can't I have a normal dream? He yells before he got thrown hitting a building inside his mindscape. Stop complaining, King. You and Lizard Breath need to train, Hollow says before ducking from a stream of fire aiming at him. Ichigo got up with his scowl deepen whatever and walked closely to them. Let's get this over with. Hollow then looked at the two. Tisk. Now King, I will be teaching you something different now, putting his finger shaking it. And what would that be? Ichigo raised a brow with Charmander looking at them confused. Hollow raised his hand and a white liquid came from under the side of the building they were standing on, and the white substance slowly formed into a small figure with a tail, arms, after it finally finished changing. Ichigo and Charmander eyes widen at what they were seeing. It looks like a white version of Charmander with white flames on its tail instead of black. Okay, a white version of Charmander, so? Hollow and the white Charmander grin. We'll be having a battle. Ichigo and Charmander look at each other before looking back. Why? With Charmander flames and power, I think we're strong enough. Hollow looks at him disappointingly. That the reason why we'll be training. Huh? Char? Ichigo didn't understand what he meant, but just got up. Okay, don't know why I need it, but let's just do it. They stood on opposite sides, one identical to the other, except with some difference. Okay, let's begin. Ladies first, King, taunting him. Ichigo got annoyed. Okay, Charmander, we'll show him. Charmander responses back before getting pump up. Ichigo, without wasting any time, quickly order, Charmander get in with quick attack and hit it metal claw. Charmander quickly runs with speed at the other Charmander while forming silver color energy in his claws. Hollow just smirk at this, too predictable. Charmander, you know what to do. The white Charmander nods and got ready. After getting close enough, Charmander tried to slash at his white version, but he missed and felt his tail being pulled. The white Charmander grabs on before it starts spinning Charmander from his tail and throw the dizzy Charmander high into the air. Ichigo got surprised at the white Charmander action before he shouted, Charmander, snap out of it. Charmander got too confused to hear anything in the air. Now jump high and use Dragon Tail. The white Charmander jump up very fast with a green glow on his tail before he slams his tail on Charmander belly, pushing it down to the ground. Ichigo couldn't do anything as he watched his friend fall down fast and crash. Charmander. Hollow looked bored. King, do you give up? While he folds his arms with the white Charmander doing the same. But before Ichigo could respond, Charmander slowly got up from his crash with some injuries. Char. Ichigo then felt what Charmander is feeling and quickly responds, like hell. Hollow smirks. Charmander and I are not giving up. Ichigo and Charmander stood with newfound strength. That's right, giving up is for losers, so show me what you got. Charmander, use flamethrower. Charmander pull his head back a bit before releasing his black flames at the Charmander. Char. Hollow looks at Ichigo. You got the strength but no brains. He rubs his white hair. Charmander, you do the same too. The white Charmander comply and fire his own flames, which were white. The two powerful flames met and exploded. Boom. Ichigo cover his eyes from the smoke it produced, but Hollow looks straight unaffected by the smoke and mumble something. Charmander too cover his face with his right arm after the smoke clear out. Ichigo and Charmander saw that the white Charmander gone and only found the smirking Hollow. The two look around, try to find it. Do it. And from the sky, the white Charmander came down fast with his claws pointing straight at Charmander while using Metal Claw. Ichigo quickly orders, Charmander block it with Metal Claw. The white Charmander hit its mark with the speed from falling downward and slam his claws on Charmander, who wasn't fast enough to block it. Charmander once again flung into the air, finish it with quick attack and combine it with Dragon Tail. Hollow yells and the white Charmander quickly bash into Charmander, hitting his mark, and he quickly slams Charmander again with Dragon Tail before he could hit the ground on his own. Charmander roll back hard and finally stop with swirls in his defeated. Ichigo eyes widen at his defeat, what, before he quickly runs to Charmander's side. You okay? Ichigo kneels down holding on to the Pokemon. Charmander woke up with injuries, weakly saying it's alright. Ichigo breathed out relief. Now King, do you know why you lost? Hollow walks to him with the white Charmander. Ichigo then says, 'cause you're stronger. Ichigo hate to admit it. Hollow smirk, well yes, and thank you for the compliment. A tick mark appear on Ichigo's head. But no, that's not the reason. Ichigo got confused. What do you mean? Hollow signed. Do I have to explain everything to you? Ichigo glare at him. Yes, it can't be helped. Get to the point. First you got arrogant, didn't you? Ichigo tried to argue, but Hollow continued, "Don't lie to me, I know everything about you. I guess you're still the same idiot even before you lost your memory." Ichigo got confused. "You charge into battle without thinking straight and rely too much on a single thing." "What do you mean?" "I do not." Hollow raised his brow. "Really? Okay, then tell me, when has Charmander's black flames and power haven't gotten you out of a bad situation?" Ichigo couldn't say anything as Hollow said the truth. "Also, you are reckless using moves without thinking straight. You have only win this far because you fought others who are weaker than you." Ichigo slumped down after he said that Cynthia could have beaten you if you haven't surprised her by Charmander's special flames. "And this little guy here," Hollow rubs the white Charmander's head and continue, "is on the same level as your Charmander. The reason why you lost to me is you use only power with no much strategy." Ichigo then looked down at Charmander before saying, "Then what do I do to get stronger?" "You already know the answer to that, King." Ichigo then thought before he figures out what he must do. "I understand." Ichigo nod. "And I will get stronger and never give up." Hollow smirk, "That's it, and with my help you'll be one of the strongest." Before he snaps his finger and a huge boulder fell down from the sky heading towards Ichigo. Ichigo jumped away before it could squish him. "What the hell was that for?" Hollow just pick his ear with his finger. "Stop complaining, you gonna train with this boulder, and the smaller one is for Charmander." Hollow grin with a mad sick smile. Ichigo and Charmander jaws hit the ground before they snap out of it. "How am I gonna do that?" Mander? Hollow couldn't take any more, so he kicked the two hard towards the boulder. "Stop complaining and start training." After a few minutes later, we find Ichigo pulling a boulder twice his size with a steel chain attached to it into a hill, which had somehow magically appear in his mindscape, and Charmander doing the same. The two struggle pulling. "Why are we doing physical training in my mind?" Ichigo yell while pulling. Hollow, who is sitting on the boulder Ichigo is pulling, "The hell would I know?" "What?" "The only thing I know is when you train here, it will somehow transfer the results of it to your body. So shut up and do it." Hollow then pull out a whip from his clothes and start whipping the two. "Oh, stop that." "Char." "Then stop asking question and pull." "Char. Char." "Why I did that to you too. Blame King there. If one complains you both suffer." Slave driver Char. Ichigo and Charmander have the same thought. After they were done, Ichigo and Charmander breathe heavily while lying on the ground. Hollow, huff, "How am I gonna train Huff to be more strategistic in battle?" Hollow looks at Ichigo carefully and says, "I don't know." "I'm gonna kill you, Huff." "Haha, kidding. That is something you have to do and discover by yourself." Ichigo look upward with a deep thought. Hollow noticed something. "King, I guess it's time you meet someone." Ichigo got confused at what Hollow said. "What?" Hollow pointed at a direction. Ichigo look at where he is pointing. Ichigo and Charmander saw a huge figure with some kind of golden color ring around its stomach with weird shapes. Ichigo and Charmander started floating and feeling relaxed, as if a warm feeling came into them and heal all their pain. "I'll be leaving now," the being nodded. "I see that you are getting stronger little by little." Ichigo and Charmander, the being in front of them, said that. Charmander recognized the being in front of him and Char. The being just chuckled. "It is okay, my child. Raise your head." Charmander slowly raised his head. Ichigo looked confused. "Who are you? And how do you know my name?" he asks with some suspicion, as Ichigo finds it strange to find someone he doesn't know inside his mindscape. "I seems to me that I haven't introduced myself. The world may know me as Arceus, or the original one." Arceus finally introduced himself to the orange hair boy. "Arceus?" "Yes, and how I know you is that I had watched your past life." Ichigo eyes widen, then ask, "Then do you know who I was?" "What I was?" Arceus nodded. "Of course, you were a protector, one who didn't stop at nothing to keep the ones you care about safe, but also suffer too much. But I can't tell you more as it would affect you in a dreadful way." Ichigo came to a realization. "Then you were the one who brought me here?" Arceus again nod. "But why?" Arceus float around then reply, "This world may seem peaceful, but there are still evil lurking in the shadow who would do anything to destroy or control this world, and it's that very reason I need someone to help me stop their progress." "But aren't you powerful enough to stop them on your own?" Yes, I am, but a being like me can't get involved too much with the mortals. I have a deep hatred for the humans, but I still care for them as people like your family back in Pallet Town exist in this world. A circular ripple in front of them showing Ash, Delia, and the others. Ichigo smile, seeing the smile on their faces. Yay, Charmander too cried happily seeing them. Char, he tries to reach to them while floating. But seeing as I have not regained my full power, it is hard for me. Ichigo look confused. How? Arceus, just look away. I shall tell you another time as time is running out, but I do have one question. And that would be? Will you help me? Ichigo then had a deep thought. And finally, I guess it can't be help. You with me on this, Charmander? Ichigo looked down at Charmander, who puff out flames as his response, we're in. Arceus, I smile, excellent, but it is time for you to wake up. The hole started to glow bright. Wait, could you tell why we are in the past, and how do we get back? Arceus look at him and says, do not worry, young protector, you too, and the girl will return in due time. The reason you are here is to prove yourself before everything blank out. Dream ends. Opening his eyes, Ichigo gets up slowly and grabs his hair with his hands. Prove myself? Prove myself to whom? Hollow, you heard everything right? Ichigo mentally asked his other self. Yeah, I did. What did he meant by prove myself? Ichigo hope he knew. Sorry, King, I don't know. Maybe you have to bang some. Ichigo cut him off with an irritated look on his face. I should have never asked him. Bang! The door to the room came open with a loud bang, surprising Ichigo into jumping out of the bed and hit the floor on his face. Wake up, time to work, Alicia father loudly yell. Charmander, wake up, and without knowing, he jump out of the bed and landed on Ichigo's back. Oh, Charmander look down and see that he is standing on his trainer. Char, Ichigo look up at his partner. Why I'm on the floor? Ask the idiot who came yelling in. Alicia father then looked down at Ichigo. No time to be lying around, it's time to work and come down quickly. He yells again at Ichigo with some spits. Wiping the spits on his face, Ichigo stands up. I guess I don't have any choice. Come on, Charmander, let's go. Ichigo put on some new clothes, well, something he could blend in with the folks of this time. Ichigo heads out of the room and get downstairs with Charmander, who came behind after he had put his scarf in Ichigo's bag. When Ichigo enters what seems to be the kitchen of the house, Alicia father stood besides the window waiting for him. Okay, Ichigo, we'll be doing a few things, so get prepared. Ichigo just nods and Charmander looks half awake. Where are the others? Ichigo asked. The man walked towards the door. They're still asleep. They do not usually woke up early. Now stop asking question and come. Ichigo and Charmander follow the man and the three arrive at the Pokemon garden. Ichigo got curious and asked, what are we doing anyway? Ichigo turns to the man who pulling out some tools from a nearby shed-looking hut. I'm the caretaker of this garden as well as a builder, so we'll be taking care of the garden as well as the Pokemons here. The man then threw a grass cutter at Ichigo, who catch it. Okay, start cutting the grass over there. He pointed at some area of the huge garden. Ichigo and Charmander look at where he is pointing, and their jaws fell down. What? That's too many. How am I gonna cut all that with this? Ichigo pointed at the old-looking grass cutter. The man stand up and grab Ichigo on the shirt before throwing him towards the massive number of large grass. Stop complaining and start cutting. Ichigo with a huge bump on his head, and they call me scary. Charmander look at the man. You two got a problem. The man says with a scary-looking face. Charmander flinch and ran towards Ichigo, helping him. After a few minutes of cutting, Ichigo got annoyed. The edge on this stupid thing is too dull. Ichigo looks at Charmander and see that he is cutting the grass with metal claw quickly, but the strange thing is the face he is wearing looks crazy. Charmander. Ichigo sweat drop at the fire-type energy. King, this is gonna take forever, so I'll give you a tip. Ichigo raise his brow. How? Alicia father just finished giving Pokemon food to the Pokemons living in the garden, which is not an easy job. Phew, you guys sure love the food my wife makes, don't you? He wipes his sweat away. They responded with full mouths. Ha ha ha, eat up. After finishing, I guess it's time to check on the two. Bet they're still cutting, ha ha ha. He laughs while walking towards where Ichigo and Charmander were working. But when he arrived and got shocked with his mouth wide open as Ichigo and Charmander are on the ground breathing hard with grass all gone and cut up clean. Alicia father shakenly pointed his finger at them. How? The Pokemon inside the garden too had their eyes widen after seeing the two worked before Alicia's dad came. Ichigo got up exhausted after cutting the grasses with the help of his aura and turns towards Alicia's dad. "There, we're done," he says, walking back to the house with Charmander following behind. Before he could walk back to the house, a hand grab on his shoulder. "Hold it, that was just the beginning," the man said, still shocked after Ichigo had done something a person would take a day to finish. "What are you kidding? That was really exhausting," Ichigo complained with Charmander, who just slumped down at what the man said. Alicia's father didn't listen to him and drags him to another part of the garden for some work. "Let's go," he raised his large arm. Charmander just followed the two with an annoyed face. Chair. Back inside the family house. The girls and women in the house woke up after Ichigo and the big man walk out. They already had breakfast as Chansey, Alicia's mother's Pokemon, had prepared for them. And now Cynthia is sitting in the roof of the house holding her knees to her chest and just keep looking at Ichigo working as she can see him from the height she is sitting. "Something on your mind?" A voice came from behind her. Cynthia turned to see that Alicia too had came up before she looked back forward. "It's nothing." Alicia didn't believe her as the face Cynthia is making says it all. "Don't lie, Cynthia. The face you're making is telling me something is wrong." Cynthia just sighed. "Okay, it's just that I'm homesick." Alicia now understands the feeling she is having. "Don't worry, you'll be back soon." "How would you know?" Alicia then looks at Ichigo and her father working. "You have him to rely on." Cynthia didn't understand what she is saying before she looked at the way she is looking and a smile form on her face. "Yeah, and you know, Ichigo was my first friend beside Pokemon's." Alicia got surprised at what she said. "Really? I thought you would be really popular seeing as you're really pretty." Cynthia blushed a bit at her honest compliment. "Really?" Trying hard not to sound selfish. Alicia nodded her head with a cute tone. "Thank you." Cynthia shyly looked down, too flustered to look at her, as this is the first time someone she considered a friend complimented on her looks. "Anyway, did you understand what Ichigo said last night to you?" Cynthia thinks back to what he said. "Abandon your fear. Look forward, move forward, and never stop. You'll age if you pull back, you'll die if you hesitate." "I don't exactly know, but I do know is that I can't give up easily to anything." Alicia just shook her head, not really understanding. The two then turns back at Ichigo and see that Baron Vincent is talking loudly with his head held up high. Ichigo and Alicia's father were getting annoyed and kicked the royal pain in the mud beside him. Vincent saying something to them before he got up and leave with a mud face. Cynthia and Alicia laugh at the ridiculous scene from the top of the house. Ichigo and Alicia's dad too laugh at the Vincent being a sore loser. "Come on, let's get down." Dad and Ichigo are heading back for lunch. Cynthia follows her. The day had gone well with Ichigo and Charmander doing tons of work like fixing the swings of the Pokemon and cutting down some large weeds under the hot sun, and others Alicia's father ordered him to do with quick accomplishment. Huff, huff, huff. "Finally, I'm done." Ichigo just fell down on the ground with Charmander doing the same. "Come on, boy, get up, it's time for dinner, we're done for today." Alicia's dad pulls him up and the three walks back to the house. From afar, a dark figure keeps looking at Ichigo with a curious gaze before it sinks down into its shadow. Back in the house. After they were finishing having dinner, Ichigo and Charmander were sitting on the porch with full stomach and Cynthia helping Alicia's mother and Chansey with cleaning the dishes. Ichigo then turns his head. She has been smiling a lot recently, looking at the smiling girl who is talking to Alicia's mother. Good for her, a small smile form in his face. "Yeah, for us too." Ichigo got a confused look. "In what way?" Hollow answers him back. "Now with that attitude of her gone, she's gonna turn into a babe not for long, and you will take her for yourself." Ichigo twitch and just ignore him. A moment later Ichigo saw Alicia going out and into the garden with a basket in her hands. What could she be up to? He thought, nah, it's not my problem. He then tried to relax back on his sit. A few minutes later Alicia's father came out and kicked Ichigo on the back and Ichigo fell into the ground on his face. "Ichigo, could you go and look for Alicia? It's getting late." Ichigo, who is still on the ground with Charmander trying to help him get up. Pulling his face up, "Then you should have asked more politely," Ichigo yells while getting up, which the man totally ignored and got back into the house without a word. "I really hate that guy." Ichigo sighs and walks towards the garden again with Charmander following. "Let's get this over with." They then look around the place with Charmander asking the other Pokemon, who then point at a certain direction. While walking, Ichigo and Charmander hears something beautiful which gave a warm feeling inside. What is this? Charmander blinked twice and just listened it. The two then walked towards the sound and saw that Alicia is sitting on a bench with a leaf on her lips. All the Pokemon were surrounding her listening, and a familiar shadow too was there listening. Is she playing music on that leaf? Ichigo then walks closely towards her and sit beside her, not that she notice as she is too concentrated on her leaf. That's really something. Alicia snapped out of her trance and found that Ichigo is sitting right next to her. Ichigo. Oh, you mean this? Ichigo nods. Alicia smiled at the leaf. Well, it's something my mother taught me. She's not really good at it, but she still taught it to me. Ichigo then looked at the leaf with curiously. Charmander then came up to them and pulled Alicia legs. Huh? What it is? Charmander tried say something, but she couldn't understand. Ichigo, could you tell me what is he saying? Ichigo then turns to her and says, he wants to hear you play again. Alicia smiled at the black fire type, of course, and she put the leaf on her lips before she starts playing again. The sun is setting with a beautiful glow, and added with the beautiful music Alicia is playing, it is quite amazing. Ichigo closed his eyes and Charmander did too. While closing his eyes, Ichigo sees someone, a girl with orange hair like him, but a bit different, stood in front of him with a beautiful kind smile. Ichigo then quickly opened his eyes again, sweating a bit before he calmed down. Who was she? And not before long Alicia stopped and looked forward. You know, this particular song I play have some kind of effect to both people and Pokemon, and it's called oration. Ichigo then had a deep thought, and Alicia then think of an idea with a light bulb on her head. Ichigo, how about I teach you? Ichigo stumbled a bit at her statement. What? Yeah, you can learn it too, it'll be quite amazing. Charmander too got excited and jumped on Ichigo's lap, trying to purse at Ichigo, who just scratched his head and looked down at his Pokemon. Well, what you did was really amazing. Sure, why not? Charmander jumped in the happy. The other two looks at it with an amused smile. After a few minutes of teaching Ichigo how to play the leaf, it was time for them to go back. Wow, Ichigo, you're a fast learner, aren't you? Ichigo hums at her while look at the leaf on his hand. You'll be even better than me if you keep practicing. Ichigo scratched his head at the compliment. They suddenly stopped as a dark figure slowly came out of the shadow and stood right in front of the two. The Pokemons around them growl at it. Alicia's eyes widen. Why did he came out? She thought feeling it would scared Ichigo away, but that didn't happen as she saw something which shocked her. Ichigo has somehow quickly stood right beside it and start talking normally to it without fear of anything malicious. Oh, you were here too? It must be a really great song to even attract you. And the Pokemon nodded. Charmander then grabbed its arm. Charmander. It then spoke with same gruff tone. Yes, I am fine. Alicia then snapped out from her shock and smiled at the scene. Good for you, Darkrai. You found friends. Then suddenly a ball of green energy came towards the pitch-black Pokemon. The now named Darkrai was about to deflect it, but Ichigo quickly stood in front of it and slapped the energy away with his hand as he wasn't quick enough to use Aura. Alicia and Darkrai blinks at what he did, which is impossible for any normal human to do. Ichigo yelled, "Who did that?" A Breloom came out with an angry look, but not at Ichigo but towards Darkrai before the Breloom left the area. Alicia came quickly towards Ichigo. Ichigo, are you okay? Darkrai too float closely towards him. Ichigo then looked at his hands, which had some small bruise. It's nothing. I'm fine. Alicia breathed out relief, and Charmander isn't all that worried as he knew something like that wouldn't hurt his friend. Why? Darkrai asked him. Ichigo turns to him and knew what is saying. You're Charmander's friend, right? Then you're my friend too, and I would do anything to keep my friends away from danger, Ichigo tells him. Darkrai looks at him with a loss for words, as this is the only person other than Alicia who tried to befriend and protect him. Alicia then claps her hand. Okay, it's getting late, we should return, and Darkrai, please, you should stop appearing where there are too many, you know what happens. She then walked up to it and laid her hands on the Pokemon. It nodded back before he again disappeared. Ichigo got curious at what she say before they too walk back. They return with a lot of confuse in the house, with Alicia dad blaming Ichigo that something happened for them to take so long to come back and Ichigo getting scolded by Cynthia for hurting his arm. The commotion got down after a while with the moon shining down on the land beautifully. So alright folks, that's all for today. Stay tuned for part 5. Do subscribe, like and share for more such videos. Also check out the story and author Strange and Kind 634 them on FANFICTIONnet. Press the bell icon to be notified first on release. See you in the next video. Till then, goodbye.